Loch Ness, one of the most mysterious stretches of water in the world, is about to give up one of her secrets. Not another sighting, but the raising from the deep of a very different kind of monster. It was in 1977 that a team of scientists searching the loch discovered an unidentified object some 250 feet below the surface. The man who planned to recover the object is Robin Holmes from Heriot-Watt University, Edinburgh.
When we actually got on site and lowered our cameras down, we were very, very surprised to find a very strange sort of lattice work of metal, nothing like we had seen before. And this lattice work of metal was covered with canvas. And the name geodetics suddenly dropped out of the blue. So I associated geodetics and canvas, and of course that automatically means Barnes Wallis. And then, very surprisingly, through the history, I traced the fact that it had taken part in a very historic raid on the 18th of December 1939 on Wilhelmshaven. And this transpired that this aircraft, which was on the Battle of Heligoland Bight, is the only surviving Wellington bomber out of 11,461 that were built that fought during the war. There are no others left that actually fought during the war. This is the sole survivor of a very much loved and, well, by the British, a much loved aircraft.
So, on the 9th of September 1985, a strange gathering of men and machines met by the Caledonian Canal at Inverness. Their task, in 6 days, to first locate, then raise the Wellington, known as Arthur Robert, number N2980. Spearheading the operation and providing the muscle is one of the world's leading offshore diving companies, Oceaneering International.
Marker down there from a headland on the end house, chimney pot, and the white larch on the hill with the edge of the quarry. Right now, it should be spot on.
The dive master and boss of the salvage team is Alfie Leyden.
With a bit of luck, that landed right by the starboard engine.
Yes, we've got to... It merely means that, that the front end of the aeroplane will be that end instead of this end. This will be the back end.
Their plan to raise the aircraft involves piecing together an elaborate aluminium lifting frame, lowering the frame to within a few feet of the plane, attaching it to strong points on the wings and fuselage, and with air pumped into special parachute-shaped lifting bags, gently raising it up 10 meters at a time. But first, they have to relocate the plane.
Once we get it marked, we'll put the TV camera down and see if we can pick up the bottom and locate the aircraft on the video.
Could you, Alan, make sure the tape recorder's on?
Yeah.
This is the working ship with all the equipment, etc. You can't stop a barge like this in 5 minutes, heavily loaded like this. There's yachts and that sort of thing to avoid. I think the biggest workup will be laying the actual anchors when we get there. We're well in hand on the schedule, and I think it will be a successful lift. Yeah, I've got a crew of 6 men. They're called ADS operators. That's atmospheric divers. And they're all, as you can see, they're all pretty versatile people. They're welders, hydraulics engineers, good seamen. And I think with the compact little unit we've got, they'll make good progress.
Monday morning, Monday the 9th of September, and it's Titch McCooey with you on the Breakfast Show this morning. And what a morning it is, it's a cracker. And let's say a quick hello right now to the gang from the Loch Ness Wellington Association who come to the area to try and pull a welly out of Loch Ness. But no, it's not that kind of welly. We're talking about a World War II Wellington Bomber. So all the best to them with that. Let's hope everything goes A-OK and according to plan.
Mooring the working boat precisely over the plane, 250 feet below the surface, is not an easy job. For Alfie Leyden and his team of ex-Navy divers, it would seem to be a light diversion, a sort of busman's holiday. But with thousands of feet of steel cable and anchors weighing a ton, the pattern of mishaps and delays that would dog them over the next few days is set. Having brought a light line ashore, the weight of a steel cable attached to the other end makes it sink into the loch, suddenly dragging one of the divers well out of his depth. It's a warning that even in these quiet conditions, any underwater salvage work is dangerous, unpredictable, and full of surprises. With the shoreline finally secured and the last of the anchors taken away and dropped into position, the job is completed. But it's taken the best part of day 2 to do it.
Yeah, well, we are a little bit behind on schedule. We intended to do a survey tonight, but unfortunately, due to the time it took to lay the moorings, especially the shoreside one, there wasn't any chance of that. So I'm quite happy with the day's progress. It's quite a difficult mooring to lay. We'll probably get a dive first thing in the morning.
Yeah, I'll have to turn it around in a minute.
What if we turn the lights so they face that way as well?
This machine is the Wasp. It's an atmospheric diving suit, a sort of one-man submarine, and will perform the major part of the underwater work.
How'd you read me, Alf?
Loud and clear, that's beautiful.
Roger.
The only problem, as one of the divers says, it's like sitting inside a washing machine with 2 pairs of pliers instead of hands.
Just about to undock you, Andy. Yeah, that's you clear.
The first task on day 3 for Andy Griffiths, the diver, is to find and survey the plane. But in the silty water at the bottom of the loch, that's like looking for a needle in a haystack in the dark.
Left surface. Yeah.
Word for shower.
Yeah, I can see the shock rope.
Okay, just passing the light signal. All stop.
All stop for the diver.
Okay, on the bottom.
On the bottom. Come up easy. Stand the tilt up.
He's found it. There it is.
Elevators.
You're coming up easy.
Coming up easy.
Our rear port wing's quite good, eh?
All stop. All stop. Just have a peek inside.
Have a peep inside, Roger.
I've found it 3 times so far. Actually been on it 3 times, but the problem is the barge hasn't been plumb overhead. And of course, when I let go of it, I just swing away.
Yeah, I'm being dragged backwards quite a lot, so we must be quite a...
Yeah, you are. Your line's apparently leading straight to port. Andy?
Yeah?
Would you like to stay there while we slack down on the starboard moorings 20 feet?
I just stand by. As I say, I'll get a hold of the aircraft.
Yeah. Okay, Neil. I want one man on the starboard bow mooring and one on the starboard aft mooring to slack down 20 feet on each slowly. Yeah, it's quite a bit of damage there, isn't there? Can you get a little closer? Yeah, there's absolutely no canvas on it, is there?
Aye.
Very little canvas on it.
Very little.
At the top of that, there's an area where you want to keep clear of.
Yeah.
All stop.
The general condition of the aircraft is good, but damage caused by amateur salvage attempts at hooking up a trophy or two have weakened the plane's fuselage. Unless they can fit a support into the plane, the rear section's in danger of breaking away.
Don't press any triggers for fuck's sake.
There are other problems too. Just forward of the front gun turret, there's a large tangled fishing net.
Keep away from that. Andy?
Yeah, Roger. Up on me.
Up on the diver.
Coming up on a diver.
Okay, found the thruster on the shot line. I've lost horizontal on the starboard side.
Understood. Okay. Well, we'll pull you up and shot rope at the same time.
Roger.
Are you on the move yet?
Roger, left bottom.
Okay, left bottom.
The dive is brought abruptly to an end. In the process of maneuvering away from the plane, the Wasp has got a locating line caught in the thrusters. The delay pushes them even further behind schedule.
Bloody hell. I'm glad that's out of the way, Eric. That was frightening me.
Right, Andy Griffiths, you've just come up from the bottom in the suit. What was the like down there?
Actually, physically seeing it inside this, you can see it on a camera, but you're not there. You watch it on the surface. To actually be in it and see it is, in effect, the first time anyone's seen it since it went down. So, of course, it's exciting.
Yes, you may taxi out and take off. You may taxi out and take off. Over.
It was on New Year's Eve 1940 that a group of young navigators took off on a training mission from RAF Lossiemouth on the east coast of Scotland. The weather was cold and overcast as the Wellington Arthur Robert, veteran of 14 missions, flew west. Squadron leader Marwood Elton was the pilot that day.
We took off just after lunch, and it was only after 40 minutes flying that the trouble of the engine started. There was snow squalls and bad visibility through the snow squalls, and then out into reasonable conditions. And the engine cut, We were at 8,000 feet, so there was no particular emergency, but it was obvious that we'd have to make a landing if we could. But looking round, there was nowhere to land. So I gave the order for the crew to bail out.
Yeah.
Shortly after that, I did spot Loch Ness through a break in the clouds and realized that there was a possibility. We had our undercarriage up, of course. We opened the escape hatches before we actually touched down, and touched down quite gently. A bit of spray came up, and of course came up through the escape hatches and wetted us, but that's inevitable. And then our dinghy came out automatically. We walked along the wingtip, got into the dinghy, and that was that.
Yeah, let's come up on the stroke.
Yeah, we're going to have to come up on the strops.
Roger.
Getting a load of pipes around him and sucking him.
Day 4, and the major job of fitting webbing slings through strong points on the plane. It's a difficult and fiddly operation. The divers will spend over 80 hours on 40 separate dives doing this work.
Where's the webbing strap hanging, Andy? Can you touch it?
Helping Alfie and the diver are men who had worked on the original Wellington design and construction.
You'll see the problem in a minute, because it is quite difficult to get in there, you know?
Yeah.
Cheers, mate. I just took a bite out of Sarnie then, right?
Oh, stop.
But it's only if the rear mainframe goes. You see that? If the rear mainframe goes, then we break the back of the aeroplane.
Yeah.
No matter what the distractions, it's not a good spectator sport. The first real sign that the last remaining wartime Wellington is on its way up will be when the lifting frame is launched and towed out. One of Barnes-Wallis's original team in 1935 is the man who designed the lifting frame, Norman Borer, known to everyone as Spud.
Well, the major damage that we've seen on the plane at the moment is that the top half of the fuselage has been cut or dragged away by some means or other, little unknown to us, from just in front of the astrodome to just in front of the fin at the back. And we have designed a strong back, which is that thing laying on the side of the deck here, which the divers will take down and fit into the fuselage, and then this will be taped up with straps by the divers, and hopefully we'll put back the strength that has been lost through the geodetics. I should be very interested to see the old geodetics again come to the surface, and with luck, if it comes up the right way up, the first bit to break the surface would be the bit that I drew, which is the fin and rudder.
In the early years of the war, the Wellington was the RAF Supreme bomber. It could fly faster, higher, further than any equivalent plane of the time. Designed by the legendary Barnes-Wallis, the criss-cross metal frame or geodetic structure covered with canvas was tough but light. The plane could take huge amounts of damage from flak and anti-aircraft fire, yet still keep flying. The main factory building Wellingtons was Vickers Armstrong at Brooklands in Weybridge, Surrey. The production line was typical of the wartime effort. Housewives, craftsmen, technicians, and anybody who could learn to rivet, sew, or just lend a pair of hands. They built a total of 11,461.
You're not foul as far as you can see, are you?
If I am, it's only on the rope, and that's in my hand, so...
Understood.
That's impossible.
Did you catch that?
thing is, you know, I've had the rope with me since I started, and I've got shackles running down it.
Yeah, understood.
Yeah, that's clear to go.
Okay, I think I'd like you out of the way when we lift that, Andy.
Underwater on day 5, and loose sections of the structure are cleared out of the way. It's the first real opportunity for the experts to assess the state of corrosion and calculate just how much strength is left in the main support spars and frames. It is still a race against the clock and a gamble whether or not the plane can be raised in one piece.
Maybe Loch Ness monster. Or the skis.
That's the tooling hole, just as good as the day was drilled.
Yeah. Amazing. Really good condition.
At any rate.
Well, that's cheered me up now.
What is that? Some sort of electrolysis on there? Plate.
paint.
Oh, just paint.
Yes, the
Yeah,
paint just bubbles like that. But we get that on aircraft flying now.
Yeah.
By the 6th day, with strong winds gusting up the 22-mile reach of the loch, there is a large swell, and all work underwater has to stop. Reluctantly, the decision is made to postpone the lift and pray for a break in the weather.
Having been delayed by high winds on the loch for 2 days, the salvage men are preparing to take full advantage of a lull in the conditions forecast for this evening. Ashore, volunteers christened the aluminium lifting frame, which was due to be towed out to the Wellington.
Once we get the frame out and start the lift, it's almost out of our hands then, because the whole thing will be floating on the surface in a very fragile condition, and we're just stuck with it then, you know. I mean, these winds could last for quite a long time. We're not talking about a couple of days. It's quite common for them to blow for a month. Of course, that would jeopardise the whole operation, you know.
Despite having worked for 10 hours already, Alfie decides to go for broke and launch the frame. Once the frame is in the water, there'll be no stopping until the plane is safely up.
Very good. It's all laced up now.
8 o'clock, all laced up, all geared up, ready to go. A bit blowy.
A bit windy.
Just a bit too blowy for the rig at the moment, but once it starts going down, it'll be all right.
We're now going to hook on the lifting frame when the wind drops, and with a bit of luck, we should be on the beach in the morning. Don't drop it in a hurry. Just take your time and we'll all do it together, okay? What we're going to do is lift it in stages, give us a rest. Don't drop it on these runners underneath. You see where the webbing straps are coming out? They've got to be kept off the deck, okay? Steady, nice and steady. Yeah, okay. All stop. Take the strain. Forward. More on the back. Come on. Forward. Right on the head rope. Take it away. Don't take too much strain on that head rope. Leave it a little bit slack. Slack down on that head rope. Right, walk us slowly forward. Slack away on the head rope a little. Okay. Let go of the bar. Let go of the bar. It's less than 2 foot now.
Yeah, it's pretty good, isn't it?
So how long have you got now, do you think?
Well, say half an hour to float the rig out, another hour to sink it.
Soon afterwards, the lifting frame was hitched to the back of a tug to begin its journey to the converted ferry in the loch from where the rescue operation has been run. When the aluminium frame is attached to the bomber by nylon wires which are already in place, then the final lift will be ready to begin. And within minutes, say the salvage men, they'll be able to tell whether it is in fact possible to lift the bomber in one piece.
You're doing the fuselage drops now, Eric?
Yeah. I'll never go to this shackle. If I don't get any joy, I'm just going to go back to the engine and ditch the shackle.
Yeah, roger. Just put that one on when you get the end and lay it on the top and go for the other one. That should do it. I should think you'd be worth the first class medal in macrame after this.
With the frame lowered into place, the work of attaching the lifting slings goes on all night. By dawn, it's still not finished, and preparations continue all day until late afternoon. By this time, they've all been working non-stop for 32 hours.
We're for going at long last.
This is it?
Hopefully.
Yeah.
With everything set, JW Automarine, the lifting experts, move in alongside Alfie to take control of the next stage of the operation. Underwater, a diver gradually fills the airbags, which should soon gently rise to the surface.
It's starting to move, John. Keep it coming. Keep coming. Yeah. She's rising. They're coming up.
Keep going.
Yeah, she's lifting.
Keep
very,
going.
Very slowly, John.
Very slowly, slowly.
Well, I don't know. I think you whack full air until you see the old bubbles turn out the bottom.
Pull on. Pull on.
Here she goes. She's rising.
Coming up.
Frame's gone. Damn.
Pull the hoses in. Pull the hoses.
Alfie, what's happening?
We're not really sure yet, but we think something on the frame parted or... but the diver heard a big crack when it went. And that indicates a paddock tearing up, you know.
On inflating the lifting balloons, the aircraft certainly started to lift, which could be detected by the lines attached to the aircraft fore and aft. They were slacking. Suddenly, the airbags shot out into the water, which meant that something somewhere, we don't know what, has broken away, and the aircraft fallen back.
Well, the frame's there. We don't know what's below it. He's just having a look now. I'm sick of, putting all that work into the job, and then a silly material failure occurred.
The frame, a bit, well, broken in pieces. That's just the frame. It's just mangled, just in a ball. It's gone to bits. No bits of the plane.
Having worked for 40 hours without a break, word comes that the plane has slid into the deeper waters of the loch, and with that, the project to raise Arthur Robert comes to an end.
All our attachments are still tight. That's the culprit. Up easy. I've got a lot more to go.
The failure was a bitter disappointment for the man for whom the recovery of the bomber had been a 7-year dream, Robin Holmes. How do you feel at this moment?
Very disappointed, not just for myself, but for all these people who have put really weeks, months, years of work into assembling all this project and trying to restore to the nation what is really effectively a very valuable old heirloom. But I'm afraid that's it gone now. The location of the aircraft is real general knowledge now, and you'll have people along here with grappling hooks and bits and pieces, so it'll, I would imagine, gradually just disappear as the years go on.
But the chances of putting a team of experts like this together again and raising enough money for another attempt are remote. And so it looks as if the only surviving Wellington bomber from World War II will remain 200 feet below the surface of Loch Ness.
Sorry, gents. Big disappointment.
Sorry to you. Sorry, Alfie, for
no problem.
all the
no
effort
problem.
your blokes have put on it,
Said to you, you were most unfortunate. I say you win some and you lose some.
Yeah, but we don't know whether when we were pulling over at some terrific angle or anything like that, which loaded the thing in some way it was never designed to take.
Never mind, man.
Miserable.
We had a bloody good try at it, didn't we?
We had a jolly good try.
We're going to go down and have a look at the plane, see what steel it is.
I don't see there's anything to be gained by it.
Somebody ought to go back to the drawing board with their design.
"36 hours later, defeat has changed to grim determination.
I would see actually the windows come down a bit now. Yes, yeah. It's not as bad as it was.
A new steel frame built overnight by a North Sea oil service company has given the team new hope.
That'll do all right.
Yeah, no problem at all.
It's another damn miserable day in the Murrayforth area today. We won't let that get us down. Another hour of the breakfast show's still to come this morning. Titch McCoy with you till round about 9 o'clock today. Right now, though, coming up to news time on Murrayforth Radio. The bid to lift the World War II Wellington bomber from the depths of Loch Ness is back on. The aircraft seemed doomed to stay on the bed of the loch when it broke away from a lifting frame on Tuesday night. But now the salvage team say their sponsors are giving them 3 days grace and the Wellington should be brought up at the weekend.
Well, basically, we've got a much sturdier frame, and that's about the only difference. We're into almost the same slinging points.
I think he's done it. No, he hasn't, look. She lifting? Yes, she's coming. She's coming.
So we've now got the Wellington, she's off the bottom and she's on the end of the pennant cable. So we now stage lift her 4 more times to the surface and begin the tow in.
No one's going to get tired tonight, Spike?
No, I shan't get tired tonight.
Eric, can you give us 4 turns on the starboard quarter?
The last bag is going on now, so...
That can't be all bad.
Yeah.
the team have surpassed ourselves. Couldn't have asked to work with a better bunch of blokes, really great. We've almost got it there now. Just a matter of towing it in and we're away. I think once you get your teeth into a job like this, you know you've got to crack it and you know, one small defeat in salvage is nothing at all.
The plane is now slung under the frame, 40 feet below the surface. Workhorse soon discovered that with such an unusual towing load, she was completely unable to steer. One of the press boats had worked for 6 hours until dawn, nudging and driving her back on course for the 1.5-mile journey into the shallows. No one has any real idea of just what lies below the frame. The tail section has definitely fallen away, and maybe the front turret too. How much is left will only be known when the plane breaks the surface. The news is that she's nose down. During the night on her way in, she hit the bottom and there's bad damage to the front section. By late afternoon, everything is ready for the final lift.
I was expecting something like this, but I did hope to see just a few more of the fuselage geodetics over the wing still in place. It doesn't look too much like an aeroplane, but nevertheless I think what we pulled up is going to be very valuable, because we have in fact got the major part of the aeroplane, that is the wing, the heaviest part of the aircraft, and of course the part that does the work.
When I first found it, it was completely intact, and obviously I think the cure has been rather drastic actually, because the fuselage has all gone. There is a tail in existence further back down the loch, but it'll need an awful lot of work on it to make it presentable again.
Oh my God, where's my helmet? Where the devil's my helmet? Ah, there you are. Hello, control, pass calling. Are you receiving me? Over.
Hello, flare pass. Control answering. I am receiving you well. Over. Hello, flare pass. See Charlie calling flare pass. May we taxi up and take off? May we taxi up and take off? Over.
Pass answering. Yes, you may taxi out and take off. Off you go, over.
crane, ironically built by a German factory bomb during a raid in which Arthur Robert took part, registers 14 tons of load, more than anyone had expected. The tires on the plane are still inflated, and fuel pours from her tanks.
Can you hear me?
I'm okay, Skipper. Hello, front gunner. Can you hear me? Okay, Skipper.
Okay.
In the morning, the initial sense of disappointment has changed as the strength and preservation of the structure is revealed. Out of the tangle come vivid reminders of the aircraft's function and of the crew she carried. A parachute.
Yeah, that's the fold, look. Right, that comes out. Can you pull that down? I'm not
Now, no chipping away of any of the dirt on there.
The pilot's seat and controls.
You can, but put a nice coat of that dewatering fluid on, okay?
Yeah, I'll go and get some rubber there.
A crewman's helmet.
We found 4 aluminium sea markers. These are an aluminium and magnesium mixture, which is liable to spontaneous ignition. These we have just destroyed.
The bomb disposal experts recovered over 3,000 rounds of live ammunition.
In fact, the ammunition, if you look at it, is in absolutely superb condition. It's totally unmarked. The links are still flexible, and we've done nothing to it. Just taken it straight out of the tanks and put it here. It's pretty good. I don't know if you've been underneath the aircraft, but the actual bomb release racks that are still in the bomb bay are in superb condition. They really are. The aluminium parts of the aircraft have withstood it really well. Where you have had ferrous metal attached in some of the engine mounts, the corrosion is really beginning to show.
But certainly it's in a condition that it looks as though it's refurbishable.
Refurbished.
Yeah, it's most remarkable.
Yeah, I think that amazes me is the condition of that metal underneath there.
Non-biodegradable.
Well, the house 40 years old, it'd be rotten by now.
A battery was connected up to the navigation lights, and they still worked.
Yeah, they could use that, that insulation.
As the day wears on, more people respond to the news, prompted by nostalgia and excitement. Those with their memories and those who can only imagine from films and stories they've been told.
Well, in the final analysis, it's gone very, very well. We're really pleased with what we've got. We've still got the tail section to bring in, but we've got it afloat and all ready to come in.
It's been the whole thing's been a real cliffhanger, hasn't it?
All the way through, right to the last.
With the tail section recovered, the estimate is that 85% of the plane has been retrieved. The front gun turret remains in the loch. The divers who have given so much to the project plan to return and find it when they can. The rear turret is perhaps the most poignant. Sergeant Fensom, the gunner, who bailed out on that fateful training mission, was killed when his parachute failed to open. The plane is soon to be delivered to the new Brooklands Museum in Surrey. The curator is Morag Barton.
Most of the parts on the Arthur Robert have numbers stamped on them, so we'll be able to trace the riveters and the people who put the fabric on the plane, all people who worked in the factory during the war, and many of them do live locally, and I'm sure they'll be delighted to come in and advise us on how to restore it. We're going to have a meeting when we get back with Spud Bora and Hugh Tyrer and the members of the Vintage Aircraft and Flying Association, just to decide on how it should be renovated, how it should be restored. But we think that having been here now for a fortnight, that the sort of display we want is to recreate this whole project, the last 2 weeks, and keep the aircraft as the Loch Ness Wellington wreck.
In more senses than one, then, this, the last remaining wartime Wellington, has won a special place in history. A fund to conserve her will hopefully ensure that R for Robert remains a symbol of pride and achievement. To the men who designed and built her, to the men who flew and died in the war, and lastly, to the men who worked and persevered to bring her back home. "6 years later, and the spirit of R for Robert continues. Over 250 volunteers and 84 separate companies have spent about 56,000 hours painstakingly putting the Wellington back together again. Today she's the proud centrepiece of the Brooklands Museum in Weybridge. Patron of the museum is His Royal Highness Prince Michael of Kent.
If you consider the airplane spent 45 years on the bottom of Loch Ness, and nobody ever thought it would be brought up. In fact, I'm told that they've practically forgotten all about it. And the atmosphere that it evokes amongst all the various people who had to do with the airplane is extraordinary. You know, there were people, for example, who were still actively engaged in restoring it today who were responsible for building it in the first place. And you know that this is only one of 2 Wellingtons in the world. Neither of them can fly, and neither of them will. But as an exercise in human drama, and that's something which you people are very familiar with, I think it's really difficult to beat.
When they took it out of the lock, I cried. And then the very next day, I rang because they asked for volunteers. And I think I was the first person to ring and ask to be a volunteer. I think perhaps I'm the only person working here that put the fabric on. I don't think there's anybody else here that did fabric work. I went away to different aerodromes to repair them, and you just take out whichever part is damaged, and those little butterfly things would put back a new panel, and then you just cover the panel that was broken, and it was doped, and they flew away again.
As a lad 56 years ago, when I was working on it, I didn't think at 56 years later in 1991 that I was going to see yet another Wellington aeroplane. I mean, after all, we design aircraft to fly, not to dig out 220 feet from the bottom of the loch.
I had a feeling when it came out of the lock it was going to look like this. I think it surprised a lot of other people, particularly some of those today who really didn't believe that we could do it in that time. And I'm hoping within the next year or so that we can have it partially covered and on display in a more theatrical setting rather than in a workshop hangar display.
It really is starting to look like an aircraft again, and we hope that people will come and see it and understand just how much the men and women of the Royal Air Force and Bomber Command in particular, how much we owe to them for their part that they played in the very, very early days of the war.